Chapter 87. I can see it clearly, we both can. You truly are a wild man. Unlike you, I was not born to be wild. But believe it or not, I'm not a helpless child. I'll do all I possibly can to protect you, my hero, my reckless man. What are they doing down there? Jenny and Diego were both sitting on bikes on the edge of the cliff above the sand pit and Diego's barracks. He had been trying to convince her she could drive down the steep hill now that he had taught her how to drive. She kept telling him he was insane. In the middle of the discussion, she had looked down and seen 4 or 5 guys walking around just in front of the motorcycle shed. He paused and looked down. Fucking hell! He threw himself on the ground behind his motorcycle. Jay, come over here. Slowly, she got off her bike and squatted next to him. What's happening? The snakes, the bastards. Either they want to steal the bikes and earn a buck, or they are trying to take over. Take over what? Operations? They understand there's money in it. They're probably trying to scare us. As they watched, the men down below became increasingly violent. They pulled motorcycles out of the shed and smashed whatever came their way. Many of Diego's tools were thrown around, and they kicked and pushed the shed to turn it over. What should we do? Her voice had a higher pitch than normal. Call the police? How fucking stupid are you? Of course we can't call the cops. Please help us, our stolen goods are being stolen. Give me your phone. The words were harsh, and it was focused not on her, but on what was happening a few 100 meters below them. Her hands fumbled as she opened her backpack. It took her an eternity to find her phone among all the things she had in it. She heard how the shed was giving way. When she finally felt the phone in her hand, she handed it to him. Quickly, he punched in a series of numbers. While waiting for an answer, he watched as all the motorcycles, both his own and those he had just fixed, were put in a large pile in front of his barracks. The guys did what they could to tear down what was left of the carport. Angus, we got problems. Snakes are here. At my shed. 5 of them. They've taken out all the bikes and are tearing down the place. Gather as many as you can and get here as quickly as possible. What? Yeah, I'm okay. They haven't seen me yet. Just get here as fast as you can. Who did you call? What's happening? For the first time since he had discovered the gang, he stopped staring at them and looked at her. His steely grey eyes had a strange expression. Jay, you need to go home. Push the bike. Don't start it until you're back by the road, okay? They must not see you. Whatever happens, they must not see you. Do you understand what I'm saying? If they can get to me through you, they will. Got it? These guys are a lot worse than Yari. Get out of here. Now. Her heart pounded all the way down her throat, all the way to her temples. Come with me. Him coming with her was the only thing that could make her feel better now. If he would just come along, if he could be with her. I have to stay here. My guys are coming. And then what? Go now, Jay. Go. What will happen when they arrive? Her voice was in falsetto by now. It hurt. Will there be like a giant fight? What if the guys down there have weapons? They can... You might... Jay, get the fuck out here now. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she looked at him in his terrifying fixation on what was happening below them. One of the guys had taken one of Diego's jerry cans and poured petrol on the barracks. They were going to set fire to his home. Hell no! He jumped on his motorcycle and drove straight down to what had been his home for the last few years. As in slow motion, she saw how Diego, full of rage, drove straight towards the guy who was pouring petrol on the barracks. Before any of the others could react, Diego blindsided him. The guy fell over, and Diego drove over to him and put a boot in his face. His victim screamed and put his hands over the face. The other 4 came rushing towards Diego. He kicked one of them in the chest. The guy staggered backwards but regained balance and charged towards him again. Another one picked up a chain and spun it over his head. He was aiming at Diego's neck. Diego was fast enough to grab it with his hand. He drove off, with his attacker trailing in the gravel behind him. The upper body of the guy stayed unharmed thanks to the leather jacket, but his jeans were soon torn, and Jenny saw a trail of blood after him. The guy screamed when his skin and flesh were scraped off before he could finally let go of the chain. Diego turned the motorcycle and drove back. Too late, he noticed the board 2 of them held up in front of him. It hit him in the chest, and he flew off the motorcycle with a loud thump. The motorcycle went on for a few meters before it crashed into the other motorcycles and overturned some of them. Diego was lying on the ground, trying desperately to inhale. The blow with the board and the subsequent thump against the ground had made all the air disappear from his lungs. He knew he had to get up, fast, really fucking fast. They kicked him in the legs. The legs? You amateurs. He got up and hit a guy in the throat. The guy buckled and got down on his knees. Diego was not able to parry all the blows and kicks from the other two and ended up on all fours himself. He got a kick in the head, and even though he was wearing his helmet, that one hurt. Angus had better come soon. He would not be able to handle them on his own for long. Another kick that really hurt was one in the midriff. Diego rolled away, grabbed the guy's leg and pulled him down. He knew it wouldn't be enough to get one of them down. He had to get up, otherwise he would never get the upper hand. A stabbing pain in his leg interrupted his thought. You fucking cowards! He grabbed the knife that was in his leg and screamed loudly as he pulled it out. The next foot that went towards him, he pushed the knife in. Fuck, Angus, you need to come now. Suddenly he noticed that the guys all stepped away and looked around, worried. The cops! They shouted and ran towards their motorcycles, leaving Diego bleeding on the ground. Only then did he hear the hated sound, the wailing of a police siren. Fuck, fuck, fuck! She had called the cops anyway. Fucking hell, Jay, don't you get it? Don't you get that I will be locked up for years? Bruised, bleeding and dejected, he stayed on the ground. Shit. Maybe Angus and the guys would also get in trouble now. He lay there, looking up at the blue summer sky through his visor. He breathed in and out slowly. From the pain he gathered he had a broken rib. That wouldn't be the first time. He closed his eyes. Damn it. He refused to be locked up. He just refused. With a tremendous effort he sat up. To his surprise, Jenny's face was just in front of his. How are you? Where are you injured? You should probably lie down. Jay, he grimaced as he felt the pain from the broken rib. Jay, you have to go so the police don't see you. You mustn't get involved in this. I told you to go home, didn't I? The police aren't coming. Are you deaf? Didn't you hear the sirens? He moved his leg. It was bleeding profusely, but he could move it. Flesh wound. It would heal. Yeah, I turned them on. We have a gig with a band this weekend. Blues Brothers theme. They get chased by the police. Almost a whole movie. It's a movie with John Belushi and never mind. I went to Chalmers today. There is a group there who work with sound and light effects, and I rented a device that sounds and looks like a siren. We're going to use it as an intro to the show. She took a closer look at his leg. We need to stop the bleeding. I'll get your first aid kit. She got up and walked towards the petrol-stinking barracks. He sat still, trying to understand what she had been talking about. Eventually it dawned on him. She hadn't called the police. She just happened to have a device in her backpack that sounded like a police siren. When Jenny came out again, she heard a strange sound from Diego's helmet. She was terrified, thinking he couldn't breathe. She ran to him and tore off his helmet. Only then did she realize that he was laughing, loud and abundantly. She had never heard him laugh before. You're amazing, Jay. You're fucking awesome. He pulled her down and kissed her forcefully.